me as the aggrieved party in a toxic partnership, I should be able to communicate that, hey, when this and this happens, it's not good for me. Yeah, I'm not happy. No, why? Because you can communicate all you want, but comprehension lies with the other party. Yeah, so I could be communicating, but this other person does not want to change those habits that are making me.
You once, you should not run away. Persist. I know she does not agree, but persist, because
Welcome to another episode of The Connection Show.
Yeah.
We have a topic that is a toxic relationship. And here we are going to talk about everything that maybe the red flags and everything that qualifies a relationship to be toxic.
Yeah.
And here with me, I have a panel of a gentleman and a lady. And now to start off, I just want us to have a brief introduction. You just tell us who you are and how you're going to contribute on this topic. Let me just start on maybe to my far left. Yes.
Hello guys, here is Eric Mwaura, and I'm very delighted to be part of this panel as we discuss about toxic relationships.
Thank you so much. You're saying Karibu Sana. My name is Pastor Titus Korir, and I welcome you to share together with us as we know what is the point or what are the signs to tell us that we need to stop or we need to slow down when it comes to a relationship. Karibu Sana.
Hello my people, hapa Ezekiel Omondi aka Teacher Zeki. Vile najulikana watu wengi. I'm here to discuss the very interesting topic about the red flags and how to see, how to kuona kimeumana toxic kimeumana aje kwa relationship na kama kimeumana, what do you do? Kimbia 100%, 100 meters.
My name is Brenda Akedi, and I'm equally looking forward to seeing these red flags and helping us all identify them and know what next after these red flags.
Thank you. My name is Safedi Mulenga. It's always a pleasure and a blessing to connect with the connection for this study, and we're expecting a lot. I'm inviting you, give us a listening ear. Thank you. God bless.
All right, and my name is Joseph Oduol. Karibuni sana. Na nataka tuanze. This is a topic that everybody, when if you are in a relationship, it is something that maybe inasumbua watu sana. Right, it is about when there's a relationship qualified to be a toxic. And now to start with, we have this word, toxic. I just want us to know what toxic means, and then we introduce it into a relationship. Yeah, so maybe you can just tell us what a toxic means. Mwaura, what do you?
Yeah, okay. From just the semantics, toxic, like ukipata chupa fulani ya chemical imeandikwa toxic, inakwambia hiyo ni sumu.
Poisonous.
Venomous. Hiyo ni sumu. So usually what happens in a relationship, it goes through stages. When you meet a person, you're very excited. If you guys happen to fall in love, you enter into the phase we call the honeymoon phase, where you just feel so good about the relationship. Some last longer than others. You are blessed if it lasts months. Nowadays, the honeymoon phase is going for a very short time. And then you start discovering you guys who really you are. And the moment you start discovering you guys are so different and you have very, very different views of life, it's likely the toxicity is going to start from there. And the more you interact with a person, I believe the more you come to know that you're not meant for each other, some other things will arise and emanate, and you will cease to enjoy it. And now when now sadness becomes part of the day, when now things start to fall apart every now and then, I believe that's where now we can say things are becoming toxic. But there's still much more to talk about it. And as we have this panel.
All right, thank you.
Powerful.
So what is a toxic relationship? I know a relationship doesn't mean boy-girl friendship or it can even extend to a family. So now, yeah, even workplace. Now we are talking about general relationship of toxicity. Toxicity. Yes.
Where?
That one.
That one.
All right.
Toxicity. So I would love you to maybe give us a context of what we are talking about, so at least we narrow down. Because
Okay.
if we approach at a broad perspective, we may get into the
Into
marriage
it.
chambers.
All right.
So,
So we
I was thinking of it. Let's maybe make it in the context of boyfriend, girlfriend. Yeah.
All right. So
When-
okay? To you, what is toxic relationship?
Now, to me, what I define to be toxic relationship is anything that is outside the context of you being boyfriend and girlfriend. I call it toxic. So it may be the negative extreme where you behave as if you are dating, where you behave as if you are sisters and brothers. It may also be that positive extreme where you exercise things that must be done in the marriage context. That becomes toxic. Yeah, so I would just want to leave it there as I leave other panelists to, but otherwise there is a lot to talk about.
All right.
For me, I would say for something to qualify to be toxic, especially in the context of the relationship that we are talking about right now, that means there are some vices which have been tolerated for long, and the person cannot bear any longer. They say, I'm tired of this thing. So there is something bad which was in a position earlier to be done with, but as time went by, somebody said, no, let us just give a blind eye, a blind ear. So the thing grew. It grew and grew and grew to a point where it is hard to reverse. So it has gotten to a toxic state. So before something is toxic, that means it had some basic background. So a toxic relationship is where some vices have gone beyond control. Somebody is no longer safe to be there. Somebody is saying, no, I cannot bear any longer. Where, for example, you can be in a relationship where somebody used to respect you, then they started calling you Jama, and it's your girlfriend. Jama. I'm saying. So that means respect is going down and down and down. Perhaps earlier on you had seen a sign of him calling you Jama, but you say, no, I think she will not get there. But because you tolerated and nurtured the vice that you had seen earlier, it got to a state where they are now calling you Jama outrightly, and they are willing to do even something worse than that. Yeah. So something gets toxic when a vice is nurtured and tolerated. Yeah.
So it's like you saw a red flag, but
And you say no. You pampered it and you say no.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me,
Yes.
you often hear people saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. These things that are not killing you, a lot of toxic things are falling in under those things that are not killing you. And I don't even think they're making you stronger. They're just draining you. So for me, the things that are termed toxic in a relationship are these things that you might find either of the parties in the relationship are not really comfortable with them, but no one is willing to make an accommodative sacrifice for the other. So it becomes, see, I'm like that. See, that's how it's done. Those are the things that are justified by, see, that's how I am. That's how my dad used to do it, so I'm doing it. Those are the things that qualify as toxic for
Poisonous.
me.
Okay.
And you see, talking about what Brenda has mentioned, there's a certain preacher called, he's a Pentecostal preacher called the late Billy Graham. He made a statement and he is saying that procrastination makes the right decision harder.
Oh, yes.
You see, today you have an opportunity to say no to something, but you say, I think I'll do it tomorrow. I'll tell her tomorrow that I don't like this. Tomorrow he cooks the breakfast well, but he still has what he did yesterday. So by the time the thing has grown, it will be hard for you to make the right decision because you are saying tomorrow, 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 tomorrow. So that can also be an alarm to us that once you see a mistake in a relationship, right there and then say, please, this one we cannot do it. Yeah, we cannot go on with such an attitude or something like that.
All right. So, Zeki, you have something before?
I just wanted to ask my two pastors, what are the signs of a toxic relationship? There's someone who's in a relationship.
Yeah.
You have to have a baby, yeah? What are the signs? I might be in a relationship, maybe.
Yes.
And I have
Like
a
to me,
lady's perspective.
I'm very much comfortable personally. I'm very much comfortable in that relationship. But people outside, wanasema huyu kijana amekaliwa, hii ni toxic relationship. So na mimi siwezi ona, it happens, ndio?
Yeah, you're saying the truth.
What are the signs? Which are the signs that tutaona the toxic relationship?
Yeah.
Yes.
To start off, there are like very many signs of a toxic relationship. You will feel it from the heart. Your friends will probably tell you, but you will like always tend to ignore them. So I have two. One of them is of a manipulative partner. This often happens with men. Kuna mwanaume mwenye anataka hadi kucontrol, like wenye watu unatembea na wao. Kama ni job, atashinda hapo, unamwona ametembea saa fulani kuona kama customers ni kuongea tu ama ni kuwauzia. Probably kwa simu atacheck hadi the last message. Like this person is so controlling on your life. Like anataka kukuwa na freedom nyingine which is not even allowed in the constitution. You have the right to freedom. Like someone who is like really threatening your freedom and is a partner, that one can be said to be you are in a toxic relationship if you don't know. Another sign is these people, if you tend to always give so much than what you receive. A relationship is between two people who are like in a mutual understanding.
Yes.
Meaning that what I give, I should also expect something. Commensurate.
Yes.
Commensurate to that. So if you find that you are always like begging these things to happen, nothing will happen until maybe you ask and ask and ask. Or if you're the man, you're trying to force your way into this lady's life and by the way, you will know it's a toxic relationship if you are working so hard for it, because eventually it's going to drain you. Like you're always trying to take her out on dates, you're always like trying to pester her with gifts, you're always like trying so hard, every day so hard. You're in a toxic relationship. If love is there, it's just mutual, it happens, it's natural.
I want you to clarify something. So when
Yeah.
two people are in a relationship,
Yeah.
one does
So much.
than the other. We classify it as toxic.
Like it is so much, it's not commensurate with what you feel you receive from the other partner. You have to, you know, things like respect, for example, you need to be respected in a manner that you respect the other person. Like what you give, you should feel worth of giving it. But now what happens with men, especially if you are dating a lady who is not really focused into you, you will tend to be there in so many ways and try to cover her in so many ways just to win her. And yet she's not into you at the same time. You should try to see.
Let me get it from the lady's perspective, and then we debate on it. Yes.
With regards to what we are giving to the relationship.
No, the toxic.
Yes.
Signs. Yes.
For me, I feel an environment where there's no accountability is toxic. Where I don't want to be questioned for my actions, it is toxic. Where I don't want to feel like I am answerable to you, you're not my mother, why should I tell you? Toxic. Yeah, where people don't want to own up their actions is very toxic for me. I also feel like where there's no room, like if something is making me uncomfortable and I cannot air it out to you as my partner, then we're in a toxic environment. Yeah, so where communication is just, it's not happening.
Freedom of speech.
Yes, it's toxic.
Okay, Pastor, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to build on what my brother here had said. You see, there are relationships where there is lack of support, where you discover that one partner would wish to be supported in every sense, but they don't want to do anything to make sure that the other partner actualizes their potential. You see, you are in school and you discover the other partner really wants you to always mind their business as far as school is concerned. But when they need something, even at the expense of your support in school, they don't want to care, as long as they are just comfortable. If you are in a relationship where somebody is selfish, minds about self alone, they don't care about the other side of the game, or the other end of the game, that is a toxic relationship. Another sign is a relationship where you are in a do or die situation, where you have been manipulated financially. where they don't, the other person does not care whether you have it or not. So you are under pressure and stress that if you don't do, you will die. Do or die situation. Give or it is over. So if you are in a situation whereby you are really struggling to maybe keep things in order and the struggle is not even appreciated, that is a toxic relationship and you may die there. So run away. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Question.
Oh yeah, there is a lot to talk about in every essence of toxic relationships. And one thing which is major and which must be addressed is persistent sexual harassment. I think that is a major problem that we are facing in our time. Yeah, there are people who, in my place, we call them mad scientists. They are people who want to treat every relationship like a lab that requires a rat. So you treat then your partner as a sample so that you may experiment. So it must not be done that way. Relationships are not meant for experiments. Relationships are meant for us to know each other. If we may be suitable for marriage, then we do experiments in marriage. So sexual harassment is so much prevalent and it must be addressed. So anytime that your partner just, your boyfriend or your girlfriend, they push you to the corner, it persists, the sexual harassment is just too much, then that relationship is toxic, is poisonous, and anytime soon you are going to die because of that poison.
Okay, perhaps I was reading something on the internet about someone, a relationship expert called Glass. I don't know the second name. And Glass was saying this. For the signs, personally, there's someone who's watching us and maybe you are in a relationship and you don't know what are the signs, what things will happen to you so that you notice that you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
And according to Glass, say the first and the simplest persistent is unhappiness. If a relationship stops bringing joy and instead consistently makes you feel sad, angry, anxious, or resigned, like you've sold out, it may be toxic.
Not that it says consistently. So they mean that today we have a one-off tiff and we're like, this relationship is toxic. No. No.
Consistently, something
consistently.
Yeah.
Every morning you are just...
You're wondering why am I doing
They
this?
have challenges every day. Tomorrow again, you know.
Yeah, that is it.
Then he finishes by saying, you may also find yourself envious of happy couples. When a nice couple wameingia church, you start talking about them, you feel envious, you know, envious,
Yeah.
So those are, I think, some of the signs, consistently anxious,
Maybe I have a question. Could it be also a toxic relationship where when you are in a relationship where you discover that the other partner likes spending more time with the friends than you, or rather the other partner does not want you to spend time with your friends simply because you are with them? These two extremities, where the other partner, you are in a relationship, yes, but she is fond of her girls more than even creating some time with you, or rather the other possible end is you have been in a relationship and the other partner cannot allow you to spend time with your friends.
From your...
but you don't give me time. You guys haven't had that.
We've had
your time. So you should also understand the love language of your partner. Set that time.
I think that is just to build up on the point that you have just read from an expert on relationships. When we speak of you being with friends and somebody then robs you of that, is robbing you of your happiness. So happiness must be something which is complete. You do not only get it from your girlfriend. Of course, she is the first priority in every essence of a relationship, and spend as much time as possible. Even to the ladies, you spend as much time as possible with your boyfriend, but then they must not rob you of you now getting social to relate with other people. That is robbing you of your happiness, and if it persists, then it becomes toxic.
Now, is it possible to change this person? Maybe I found you with your company. Now, I'm getting into your life. This is my girlfriend. I've found her having some other girlfriend. Is it possible for me to get her out of that company just to do what I want her to do? Is that toxic?
You know, it's also very funny, before Pastor speaks, because ukifanya hivyo, friends, people fear, your friends watasema huyu hata hizi hatuwezi enda coach ball na yeye amekaliwa. So you get that pressure that you get, amekaliwa. You don't want also to look weak to your friends that amekaliwa. You want to be that one of things. Sure. Matuko kwingine ukienda, your house is burning. Jioni ama hata umekasirikiwa, your texts are not being replied. Yeah.
For me, I would say that we need to strike a balance. You cannot live the way you used to live with your friends if you have decided to be in a relationship. Yeah, you must share time. You must share time. Your girlfriends, you must create time for them. But at the same time, you must know that there's some other person who needs your time also. So there must be that strike of balance. If you play ignorant, you will suffer and you will lose one of the parties. And we will not wish you to lose one of the parties. But again, to the jealous people, jealousy is good. Moderate jealousy is good because you love the person. God is also a jealous God because he loves us. But again, there is extreme jealousy where the person, even if they see you with a neighbor talking, that is your girlfriend or something like that. So we need to be striking a balance where we balance between our friends and our fiancés. Yeah, you cannot behave like you are single and you are in a relationship.
That's true.
Yes.
That's powerful.
There's another question that if you are the person who find yourself like you are in a toxic relationship, how can you manage it? Is it possible to manage a toxic relationship? That's after the break. We are taking a short commercial break, and then when we come back, we are going to discuss and know if we can manage the toxic in a relationship, or yes, how can you manage it? We are taking a short commercial break. This is The Connection.
You are watching The Connection Show. Thank you for tuning in.
All right, welcome back. We are talking about toxic relationship. Now, before we went for a break, we were having this question: is it manageable? Can we manage the toxic relationship? I'm starting with Mwaura. What do you have to say?
So every relationship goes through a phase we call the power struggle. And this is where the two parties decide on how their lives are going to roll out. Because before they met, each of them had their time. For example, if you're single, there's a way you spend your Sundays, weekends. Probably you are employed, but now we have come together and we need to decide on when we can meet and when we cannot. When we can make phone calls and when we cannot. And during that power struggle, some people discover a lot of toxicity, some of which you should tolerate for some time so that you guys can get in the same boat. But now if it persists so much that it continues to rob your peace, now that's the problem. Earlier on, we addressed the issue of friends. How well should you remain with your friends if now we are in a relationship? Usually what happens, if I get into a relationship, I will tell my male friends, if I'm the man. The lady is always very excited. She will share with her female friends. There's this dude I've met, he's like this, he's like that. And each of the pairs will advise you, about this this relationship. Some of them will disapprove it. Some of them will say, maybe give it some time, maybe be a little more tolerant, but then it comes down to the both of you. So what I would say is this: you should be able to have mastered the knowledge on when to stay and when to leave. For example, if someone gets to a point where he has even physically harassed you, that one is not a question of asking if I should stay. I mean, someone who beats you up, you should be leaving.
If it persists, sure.
Yeah.
Not
Someone should not be beating you in a relationship. Like,
If it persists. Yeah, there are some people who are attracted. And now to finish, just to finish on my point, the disadvantage with this power struggle thing is that the moment you settle for less, you get even less than what you settled for. If for example you guys live very close to each other, and if the man just calls you and you're available, he calls you and you're available, he calls you and you're available. You see, that one, you are really interfering with this man's privacy in a way that you should not even. You're not married to meet every day.
Some men will even command you when you visit them in their homes. Oh, please wash for me these clothes. Oh, please make for me this meal. Oh, please do this for me. Like, this man is always making you go down and down and down. And before you know it, you will have gone so down. Before you know it. So
that's a measure of being a good girlfriend or washing clothes you don't know.
No. Yeah, that's what men say. That now they are measuring your goodness by how well you can wash clothes and cook and do those things. And that's how you get manipulated and you settle for less. And by settling for less, you are not going to get any better. You get even worse.
You're a washing machine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it manageable? That's the
Yeah,
question.
it is manageable. First, I wish to say, as I answer that question, that one thing we need to know when we are in a relationship is that we need to have the interest of the other parties at heart. If you want to have a conducive environment, always make sure that you mind the other person. And you who is being minded, please always know that you are not the only person who requires attention from the other person. So you can strike a balance between those two ends. In a toxic relationship, there are some toxins which cannot be tolerated, and there are some toxins which they can be taken to the doctor and they do some detoxification. So if somebody has been threatening your life, telling you that they are going to kill you or something like that every now and then, run away, you will die. I'm telling you in the name of Jesus, run away. But if it is a sense of disrespect or something like that, you can look for friends and use friends to talk to your friends. And if they persist, walk away. It is better to break an engagement than to break marriage, because divorce is not acceptable before the sight of God. So instead of waiting for divorce, you can run away as soon as you see those signs, run away when somebody is not willing to leave those habits. If you have talked to them, you have used friends, and they are not willing, especially somebody who is unfaithful consistently. Number two, a person who is threatening your life, run away. Those two people are dangerous. You will die in that marriage or that relationship.
Right. Let me hear from Brenda.
Is a toxic situation manageable?
Yeah.
I would say yes and no. Yes, why? Because me as the aggrieved party in a toxic partnership, I should be able to communicate that, hey, when this and this happens, it's not good for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not happy. No, why? Because you can communicate all you want, but comprehension lies with the other party. Yeah.
Tell you.
So I could be communicating, but this other person does not want to change those habits that are making me uncomfortable, or maybe they're communicating with me and I'm not willing to change. Yeah. So the best way to manage, in my opinion, the best way to manage a toxic situation would be, number one, like, feel free to communicate. And when we communicate, let's see how we can make this situation better for all of us. You know, I keep using this example. Can you imagine me and my siblings, say my sister? We've grown up in the same house, under the same circumstances. Like, we know each other very well.
Yeah.
Me and my sister shared a bedroom for over 20 years. But we still fight. And we know each other so well. So what about this person who I really don't even know how they were raised? I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know how they reason. I mean, we're bound to collide, but I feel like we need to always communicate, especially these situations that are not killing us in the name of making us stronger. Yeah, we need to communicate them. Where it fails, prayerfully exit.
Yes.
Where it fails, there's just no change, and your happiness is being robbed. Your peace of mind is at stake. Prayerfully exit.
Just to build up on what the great minds have said, I want to give it maybe a godly perspective and say there must be a redemption in every toxic relationship. The greatest relationship that has been ever taught is that one which we have, that is us and God. But when you look at us and you look at God, he is a very good man, but the way we behave, we are poisonous toward him. but he exercises redemption upon us. In this relationship, he is long suffering. In this relationship, is loving. In this relationship, is forgiving. In this relationship, even if we go and prostitute somewhere else, you still come back to us searching for us. So this is why when the point was raised to say, if he beats you, somebody said you run away. But I want to say, you should not run away. If he beats you once, you should not run away. Persist.
Brenda doesn't agree.
I know she does not agree, but persist, because you see, there must be redemption in every process that we run. Yeah, especially we are speaking of the relationship in a Christian perspective. I'm not saying that we must be beating as gentlemen. That is the worst thing that you can do.
But
You
the
know,
ladies who are also beating.
oh yeah, by the way, yeah, sure. You should not lay your hand upon anyone in
What a
any
man can
relationship. But if it happens that way, be forgiving, be long suffering as the Lord Himself does. Be forgiving as the Lord Himself does. Yeah, of course we expect some toxic things here and there, but again, if they persist, even God Himself, we are taught to say the long suffering of God does not extend forever and ever. Even if the love of God has a limit. So do not have the kindness greater than that of Jesus Christ. It's only Jesus who can be kind even to that extent where He has a limit. So do not go for a relationship, somebody has been beating you every day, you still persist. That now grace is more than that of Jesus Christ, which has a limit. So have a limit and say, now it is enough, I've drunk enough of the poison, let me exit.
Before Maura you speak, I have a question for the panel and the two pastors here.
Yeah.
You can be dating a lady who's toxic by the tongue.
Sure.
As a man who's out there, how do you handle that? Do you run away from it? Because most men I know, when it gets too much, you run away. Some also end up panel beating that lady or something. How should you?
Maybe communicate. Say, excuse me, when you talk to me like that, when you talk to me like that, it makes me feel some type of way. Yeah, like I feel like everyone, both parties, ladies, men, if it recurs me, my stand is you know the door.
But I would also say that it depends with the man. See, there are some men who like noisy ladies. There are some men who, if they find a wife who is just quiet in the house, they are quiet, they feel that this is hell. So they like somebody who is just making noise around there, calling the kids, doing what. So they feel like somebody is around the home. So it depends also with the man. And as a lady, if you know your man does not like a lot of multi approaches, you need to tame or you look for somebody of your type.
But you see, it's rare to find a family unapata both couple wako mdomo na utapata mwanaume ni mpole alafu the lady is talkative or yes, exactly. So I think Mungu pia.
So what you can imagine that.
I think what you are trying to address is a lady who is always poisonous in his speech
telling you things.
And choice of words.
Exactly, the choice of words is very poor. So for ladies, please be also careful with your tongue, because most ladies speak more than men, which is what God made us to be. But also be careful. Kuwa mtu ambaye una temperance katika maneno yako, usiongee sana. Yeah, mind the people who are going to listen to you.
All right. As we wind up, we've managed the toxic relationship. Maybe you've moved out because of the hizo mashida.
Yeah.
Now, somebody out there has been suffering, maybe the healing point of it and moving on. How will you advise this person to move on, healing? Like how can you heal from it? The toxic relationship yenye ulikuwa nayo kitambo.
So if you ask me, that's a topic on its own. How to quit a relationship so that you don't really affect the other person, because remember you are two people who are living on planet Earth and you might need each other in the future. So how you quit from it and how you handle the heartbreak, that's like a topic on its own. Maybe you should do an episode on that.
But true of this topic.
Yeah. How to handle a heartbreak and how to quit, like from a relationship.
Maybe just a simple advice.
Okay, but now my point I had was not for the breakup part. It was still in the toxicity part of it. There was something I was to say. If you look at relationships, you can almost draw a cycle that they follow. You guys started strangers. you go to friends, then you think you're better friends, you're more than friends. Then you fall in love, you get into a relationship, and now that's where the branch of toxicity either comes in. Either it becomes toxic, you quit and go back to being strangers. Or it does not become toxic and you manage it through and you become partners and you get married. You see? So the toxic part comes essentially because you people are different and you are differing in the way you view life. And one of you is trying to make it seem that their view is more correct than the others. And that's why they want you to behave like that. Ladies especially, in particular, have this problem. They believe that because they love the person, that love is enough to change a man, which is really wrong. By the time you meet a 25-year-old guy, ask psychologists, his frontal lobe of the brain is fully matured. Whatever he does, he is not like kubahatisha. This guy knows what he's doing. So whatever he has chosen so far in his life, don't think that you're going to come and make him change. Let us always say, I'll make him change that. I'll make him change. No, you're not going to change him that. He has decided it. For example, even the choice of clothes. Maybe I was raised to believe these are the clothes I should wear. And then you come and tell me I like my man, clothing like this. Maybe I don't want that. Maybe it's expensive. Maybe I'm not a clothing person. Food, how you talk to each other, how you stay. Now, one of the things that makes these things toxic is even how you guys met. Because nowadays, we skip the friendship part before we date. You just meet a chick in a bus, you talk to her, gives her your number, and now you think you're in a relationship. It never lasts long because you never knew this person well before. You see, like now if someone has a toxic tongue, if you had been friends, you would have known that. You have known this lady, by the way, kuongea yake, ukuwe very careful na yeye. So before you date, you already know that. Other than meeting her as a stranger and dating her, people are skipping the friendship stage, bringing a lot of stress. Yeah.
All right. Just maybe as you do your parting shot, because yes, is it possible someone can move on from the toxic relationship?
Yeah, I would say it is possible. One thing we need to bear in mind is that we need to be long-suffering with each other, and more to that, let us reduce the egos kidogo. See, what among the factors that make a relationship toxic is when everybody in the relationship or every partner or shareholder in that relationship feel they are right. So nobody is willing to come down kidogo for the sake of the other. So let's try to come down for each other. If you have a certain way of perceiving things, try to be accommodative to the other partner. Let everybody bring their ego down kidogo, and by so doing, you will show that you are concerned about the well-being of the relationship. Do not hold on to your rigid ideas, even though they may be harmful. Try to come down and strike a sense of balance, and you will go far. But if you keep your egos high, everybody knows they know, it will be hard for you and you may have to quit. But if you come down and strike a balance where you want to be accommodative to each other, doing the right thing, you're going to do it better, and it will be safe for you as you move on with your relationship. Otherwise, keep God in your relationship and He will bless both of you.
My parting shot is, I will just say that love should never cost you your peace. It should never cost you your joy.
Happiness.
It should never cost you your happiness. And if at all the negatives are more than the positives, then as our pastors have just advised us, the way Brenda said, prayerfully quit. Kanyaga, kubwa. So,
Come ambulance.
yeah, thank you.
For me, I'd say we all come from different places, and sometimes maybe you might be toxic without knowing it. I might be toxic without knowing it. Let's allow our relationships to have free space for communication, so that if one party is aggrieved, they feel like they can say it out without being victimized, without it being held against them. Yeah. So let's create safe spaces in our relationships such that both of us are able to freely communicate and make this relationship better for both of us. Yeah. And when I think previously when we've talked, we've said love is the actual foundation of all these things. Yeah. So when we love one another, truly even handling these situations that are toxic will be totally different. When we have also God in our relationships, handling these toxic situations is going to be totally different as when we did not have love or we did not have God. So let's just be let's create safe spaces in our relationship. Like, think of your actions and how they are affecting the other person. I like the golden rule for doing unto others what you want them to do unto you.
Sure.
Just put yourself in the other person's shoe and ask yourself if you would be happy in that scenario. Like, be accommodative as you also seek to accommodate, to be accommodated. Yeah.
Yes.
And my parting shot is, as much as possible, do not be the poison in your relationship. Seek peace by all means, and in case you find yourself in a toxic relationship, spend some time as you allow things and the events to unfold. It might be that you were placed there to be the Esther who will live so well with the Eden king who is toxic in his manners. So you might be an agent of ministry to that person to convert them. But if it persists, we have to exit, because our love must also have a limit as much as possible. God loves us so much, and thus we are not to stay in a brook that is already dried when God has told you, you go to Zarephath, but you are still at a brook that is already dry. So you have to move on. There is always another door that is open when another door is closed. So me, I can advise we have to move on as much as possible from the toxic relationship when they are closed. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, lady and gentlemen, for honoring this invitation. I hope next time tutakutana hapa, sindio? Yeah, tukiwaita msikose kukuja. Zeki, you have something to say?
Oh, I just want to remind our viewers today that remember to subscribe on The Connection. We are on Instagram, the underscore connection, on Facebook, The Connection. If you want to write to us or reach us, we have our WhatsApp number. You can also write to us at theconnection 721 You have a story that you want to share that will inspire other people, young people, be it old, be it young. You can write to us. You can call us on the numbers provided on your screen, and I think by that we'll grow. And remember, as I always say, time to time, that if you subscribe to The Connection, yeah, you've subscribed a soul to Christ.
Amen.
Till next time, let's say bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Yuaja, Yesu atarudi sasa, anakuja duniani. Wasafiri wote watapumzika, Yesu anaporudi tena. Haleluya, amen, haleluya tena, upendo wake unashinda. Tutamsifu milele hata tutashanga jinsi alivyotukomboa. Yuaja, Yesu atarudi sasa, anakuja duniani. Wasafiri wote watapumzika, Yesu